Hello students, in our previous session we have discussed about itinerants, means those retailers who don't have their shops. Okay, now today we will discuss about fixed shop, that is the second category of retail trade. Now fixed shop, they are again divided into two parts. Okay, first one is first one is small scale retail shops and the second one is large scale retail shops. Now first let us see the first type of fixed shop, that is small scale retail shops. Now small scale, as the name already explains, that it is conducted in a small manner. Okay, now let us see. These are small scale retail fixed shops. Now they include, number one is street stall holders or shops. Now these stalls are wooden shops, means these shops will be wooden, or sometimes they don't even have a proper shop. What they will do is that they will place tables or some platform and they will have shelves and stands, and there they will start their business. Now in Delhi, this is the most popular type of small scale retail shops. Now what the government they have done is that they have made pakka stalls for those retailers who can't afford to build their own pakka or fixed shops. Okay, now these stores generally they sell low priced consumer goods that we hardly used to cost around 200 or 100, or especially like snacks. Okay, it is common feature to find these shops selling fruits, juice, eatables, hosiery, clothes, shoes, etc. Means they don't sell high priced or fixed price goods. Okay, then the second type is second shop. Now these shops they deal in second hand goods. Persons of ordinary means who cannot afford new goods purchase goods from them. Now as we all know that sometimes the clothes and all these things they can be very priced, means they can be very like not only clothes, but sometimes we can even see that electronic goods are also very highly priced. Now second shops, what they do is that they used to sell second hand goods which are cheap as compared to new goods. Okay, this shop mainly deals in clothes, furniture, books, etc. Sometimes rare articles of historical importance are also sold. Then the third type is specialty shops or stores. These shops specialize in single product. Now in grocery store we can see different types of product, but these specialty shops or stores they deal in only one single product. They sell different varieties of single products. Means if we see mobile phones, okay, now the product is single, but mobile phones are manufactured by different companies. So specialty shops are known, but mobile shops we can take as an example. Generally they deal in children books, ladies garment, toys, clothes, etc. These shops are located in important markets and places. The next one is general shops or stores. These stores deal in different kinds of consumer goods. These articles they include soap, oil, toothpaste, stationery, soft drinks, bread and butter, chocolate, or you can say in other words grocery stores. These stores sell standard quality of goods, means they don't keep cheap products which don't have proper standard quality. Okay, they used to keep goods with good standard value or standard quality. Satisfying most of the consumer needs at one place is their special feature. Means whenever if you want to buy lots of goods, then you can just simply go to a single shop and you can purchase whatever you want. They provide credit facilities and home delivery services to their regular customers. Now you can purchase goods on credit, as well as you can make special requests to them and they can deliver goods to your home. These stores are beautifully designed and furnished. Attractive window dressing is nothing but hanging or showcasing goods in the shop, and display of goods is their specialty. Now the last one, small scale retail shop, is single line stores. These retail shops deal in particular line of products. Okay, they will follow a single line of products, such as if they are selling medicine, then they will focus only in medicine. If they are selling watches, then they will focus on that. Then shoes, ready-made garments, books, stationery, etc. They have different varieties of particular commodity. These shops are also located in important localities. Now the second type of fixed shops is large scale retailers. These are fixed shops located in the important places and markets of the cities. These are large sized business enterprises with established with large amount of capital. Since they are investing huge amount of capital, that is why they come under large scale retailers. Okay, now they include, first one is departmental stores, then multiple shops or chain stores, then mail order business, then consumer cooperative stores, and at last super bazaar. Now first let us see about departmental store. A departmental store is a large-scale retail shop having different departments and sections for different articles in the same building. These departments are centrally controlled. Means the control or the functioning of these departmental stores are maintained by one's office. Okay, a departmental store as such is the combination of many retail stores under one management. Super Bazaar in Connaught Place of Delhi is one of the example of departmental stores. Now you may not know where is Super Bazaar in Connaught Place. Okay, you can just Google it and you can see what is meant by departmental store. Now let us see what is departmental store. It is nothing but it will consist of a building. Okay, one big building will be there, and there will be different small retail shops dealing in different products. These are nothing but known as departmental stores. Now when we talk about definition for departmental store, a definition is given by James Stephenson and another is given by Clark. Now you can see both the definition and you can choose whichever you want, and you can write in exam, or you can compose your own definition or meaning and you can write. Now let us see what are the features or characteristics of departmental stores. Now first one is availability of variety of goods at one place. Means when you enter into a departmental stores building, you can find different types of variety of goods. Means whatever company or whatever product you want, it all will be available there. You don't have to go to another shop or another market. Then it is located at central places of the city. Means it is situated main city. Okay, in the main city of a particular place. Then there is no bargaining. Everything is fixed price. You cannot bargain. The next is facility of home delivery of goods. Now if the good is very heavy, then you can just instruct them to do home delivery, then they will do that. Then the next is credit sale to approved regular customers. Means those customers who are regular, and those retailers, if they know their regular customers, then they can give facility of credit as well. Then next is it is very large sized business enterprise requiring large amount of capital. Now this, just because a huge amount of capital is invested in this type of stores, it is known as large scale retailers. And the last characteristic is departmental stores are suitable for big cities only, because in big cities there will be huge population and people, they will be frequently visiting these departmental stores, so they will be able to earn profit. But if a departmental store is opened in a small city, then people they hardly used to go there because of no bargaining characteristics. Like low income people, they would like to bargain, but since in departmental store there is no facility of bargaining, so these stores are mainly suitable for big cities. Departmental stores, they first originated in Europe in 19th century. Industrial revolution, mass scale production, growth of cities, rich class of people, and novel approach to marketing is responsible. These are the factors for which we can see departmental stores in countries. Now a departmental store is registered. Now this is known as a joint stock company managed by board of directors. They have their board of directors who will look after the working or management of the departmental store. Now every department is managed by departmental manager who is assisted by sales assistants. Now for every department, like we know that in departmental store there will be different departments, like food department will be there, then clothes department will be there. So each of the department is managed by the departmental manager, and sales assistant will also help them in managing the stores. Now let us see examples. Now in India, Delhi, we have Super Bazaar and Janki Das at Delhi. Then in Kolkata we have Kamalaya. In Chennai we have Spencer's. In France we have Bon Marche Louvre. Then London we have Selfridges. Okay, now let us see what are the advantages of these departmental stores. Now first one is centrally located. Generally departmental stores are located in the central places of the cities where everyone can reach easily. They don't have to walk, or they don't have to find address of departmental store, as they are mainly located in the central places of cities. These stores attract large number of customers. Then next is the shopping facility. The customers get variety of goods of their daily requirements at one place. Like suppose if you want to purchase some groceries, then medicines, then you can simply visit any departmental store, and there you can buy grocery as much as you want, as well as medicine. You don't have to go to a pharmacy separately, then grocery store separately. So there is another advantage given by departmental store. Then next is attractive atmosphere. Departmental stores have provisions for recreation. Means suppose if you are taking any kids with you, then for kids there will be recreation places. Means like they will have seesaw and all that thing where kids can play. Then there will be cafes as well for refreshment. Then there will be telephone services like phone booth. Nowadays we don't need those things, but still they will have restaurant. Then they will have salon, then music systems. Everything will be there for recreation. Okay, so that also makes a departmental store very much attractive, and that is the reason why they like to visit departmental store more often. Then next is economies of large scale. Departmental stores enjoy economies of large scale. As we know, the departmental stores are very big, so they will earn a huge amount of profit as well. They avail of special discounts on their large scale purchases. Means for maintaining a store in departmental stores, okay, the retailers, what they have to do is that they have to purchase goods in large scale. So if the amount or if the quantity of goods they purchase is huge in quantity, then they can ask for huge discounts as well. They enjoy the economies of centralized advertisement for all the departments. Now as a single retailer in a departmental store, they don't have to take extra effort to advertise about their store. Okay, when the departmental store itself advertises about them, so the small retailers who have shops inside the departmental store will also get the benefits of advertisement. Then next is no bargaining. The greatest advantage of departmental stores is that there is no bargaining in these stores. Now if you go to a departmental store, if the price is $4.99 only, then you have to give $4.99. You cannot bargain. You cannot say that I will give you 400. So that is another advantage for departmental store. Everyone has to pay the same price for the same commodity. There is no possibility of being cheated. Then next is standard quality of goods. The departmental stores, they supply standard quality of goods. They don't keep duplicate things, okay, duplicate products. So there is no danger of being supplied with duplicate and substandard quality of goods. Then next is elimination of middlemen. The departmental stores eliminate the unwanted corrupt channel of wholesalers from the channel of distribution. Why? Because the retailers in departmental stores, they directly purchase goods from the manufacturer. They don't go to any wholesaler for buying goods. Okay, that is why the unwanted or corrupt channels of wholesalers are eliminated. It checks high rise of prices and also artificial scarcity of goods. Now there are some limitations, demerits or disadvantages of departmental stores as well. Now let us see what are those. The first one is high operating cost. The operational cost of these stores is very high. Means the maintenance cost of departmental store is very high. As you can see, there are recreational facilities and other special services available in a departmental store, so they have to maintain those things as well. So they have to invest a huge amount of money. They have to spend a lot of money, and that is why the operating cost becomes very high. Now, and again, the rent of the building at central place of the city, as we all know that the value of a land or a property in the main city is very high. So since the departmental stores, they are mainly located in the central heart of the cities, big cities, so it is very expensive. Okay, then excessive advertising, interior decoration and customer service expenses, all these leads to high operating cost of departmental store. The next is lack of personal attention. Sales assistants and departmental managers of the stores are paid employees, so they do not pay their personal attention to customers. Because, like, suppose, let's say example, if you are owner of your own shop, small shop, okay, then you will see what your customer needs. You will give special priority to them. You will check whether they are satisfied with your product or not. But since the employees or the sales assistants of a departmental store, they are nothing but paid employees, so they will not think about how much goods they are selling, whether their customers are satisfied or not, because they know at the end of the month they will be receiving their salary. Okay, so what they lack is their salesmanship quality. Sorry. Then next we have huge capital expenditure. Means a departmental store is very large sized business. It requires huge amount of capital for its establishment and operation. Its formation is as such is not easy. Means because we know for starting a departmental store a huge amount of capital is required. So the people who are from middle class families, they cannot think about starting or opening their own departmental store. Then next is inconvenient situation. The number of departmental stores is limited and they are located at central places, so common man finds it difficult to visit these stores for commodities of day-to-day needs. Now, in these departmental stores, they are located at the main cities, so people from far villages, they find it very difficult to go there or to visit those departmental stores frequently to purchase their day-to-day needs, because they have to spend a lot of money on their traveling as well. Then the next one is higher price of the commodities. Means due to high operating costs, sometimes the price of the goods in departmental stores are very higher than the outside stores, because they have to cover up their operating cost. Now, to cover up their operating cost, what they will do is that they will sell their products at a higher rate. Now let us see what are the future prospects, or what is the future of departmental stores in India. Departmental stores in India do not have prosperous future. Means it doesn't seem to have a good future in India. India is predominantly agricultural country, where 70% of its population resides in villages. Now see, there is the main problem why departmental stores cannot flourish in India, because most of the population, they are living in villages and departmental stores are mainly located in the big cities. So villagers or the farmers, they cannot visit departmental stores every now and then. Now, where these departmental stores can be successful, let us say, where customers' time is very costly. When you don't have enough time to go for shopping, okay, that time you can just simply go to departmental store, or you can call up them and ask for home delivery. Then where shopping is made by ladies. Means ladies, they used to go to showrooms as well. They like to visit showrooms a lot. Okay, so if women, they are the one primary customer of departmental stores. Then where customers have their own conveyance. Means when you have your own vehicle to visit departmental stores, then you can go to the departmental stores whenever you want. The next is where capital is in abundance. Capital is in abundance means when you have enough capital or enough money to purchase or to buy goods from departmental store. Now, unfortunately, the above situation do not prevail in India, so it can succeed only in big cities. This is why we have these departmental stores in Delhi, Kolkata, Bombay and Chennai. But now these days, even Manipur, we have some departmental stores like Vishal Mega Mart and all. Okay, the success of these stores is linked with the urbanization of the country. Now, when the country is more modern, or more, when a country has more urban area than rural area, then departmental store can be successful. Then when the per capita income, means when the income of an individual increases, where people earn huge amount of money, there it can be a successful. And when the expansion of education is there also. Okay, now the next type of retail is multiple shops or chain stores. Now let us see. group of branch shops dealing in the same line of product under the same ownership and management is known as multiple shops or chain stores. There is single ownership and centralized management of these stores. Now, Bata Shoes Company, you have heard the name. They are one company. It is one company, okay, but they have various branches in all over India. Okay, they have lots of stores in all the cities and states. So they are nothing but multiple shops or chains. Means the owner of a business which have multiple shops in the country. Okay, the idea behind the formation of chain stores is to eat up the profit at the manufacturing and sales stage of goods. Now, if you are a manufacturer of a particular good and if you open your own shops in all the states, then you don't have to spend extra money on agents and wholesalers. You can directly sell goods to your customer. It was felt by the manufacturers that they manufacture goods after taking lot of pains. These goods are sold to the wholesalers on marginal profit. Goods are passed on to the consumers through the wholesalers and retailers as intermediaries. These middlemen eat up the major part of the profit simply for passing the products. Means usually the manufacturer, they will produce good, then they will sell it to the wholesaler, then wholesaler they will sell it to the retailer, and at last retailer will sell to the consumers. Now what they have checked is that this wholesaler and retailers, they are eating up some part of the profit and the manufacturer is suffering loss, or they are not earning profit as much they have desired. So what they did is that they started their own shop, opening their own shops, branches or chain stores in order to eliminate these middlemen. The next is, let us see what is the definition of chain stores. Now two definition has been given by Converse and by Fry. Let us see. The definition given by Converse is number of retail stores operating under a common ownership. Now the owner will be same, only one, then management also will be one. Now they have number of retail stores, and that is known as chain stores. Now Fry, the definition given by Fry is chain store are a group of stores handling similar lines. Means they will sell similar product. Merchandise is nothing but product with single ownership. See, the ownership will be only one and management will be centralized. Means they will have one headquarter or head office, and from there only all the stores and shops will be managed. As such, chain stores are branches dealing in one product and working under single ownership, management and control. Now you can give this definition as well. Okay, now let us see what are the special features or characteristics of chain stores. Now first is investment of huge capital. Then next is selling through branches. Means they will have different branches through which they will sell their goods. Then identical branches shops. Means those shops or those branch shops will be identical. Means they will be selling same product. Then cash sales. They don't give credit sales, but they sell goods on cash. Then no bargaining, no bargaining. The next is location at important points. Then the most important thing is single ownership and management. Okay, now let us see some advantages of chain or multiple shops or chain stores. Now first one is easy identification of shop. Multiple shops have uniform and identified external appearance and interior display and decoration, so it can be easily identified even by ordinary illiterate persons. Now since these shops, they are highly reputed, even a person with minimum knowledge, even also if he hears the name, then he will know that, oh, this store is related with this company. Like take example of Domino's. Okay, whenever we see a Domino's pizza place in our area, then we think that no, it is a branch of Domino's Pizza. Okay, the next is standardized product. These shops deal in standard product. Means they don't sell substandard good, they sell only good quality product, which are original and quality product. It is always safe to purchase standard quality of product from these shops. Okay. The next is distribution of risk. These branches are located in different parts of the city or country with different likes and dislikes of people. Now we know that every human being is different. What I like, you might not like. What you like, I might not like. Okay, so these shops are opened in various part of the country, and the people's preferences are also different from place to place. So if a particular brand or variety of product is suffering loss, okay, in one single branch, then its loss can be minimized and it can be shared by other places stores. Okay, the next is no bad debts. Now credit sales are not made by these branches, so there is no possibility of bad debt. These stores make cash sales only. The next one is economies of large scale. Formation of multiple shops and continuous supply of product to them for sale requires large scale business. The centralized management of these stores enjoys the economies of large scale production and distribution of the commodity. Their operating cost is also lesser. Now we know that when the production is in huge quantity, the expenditure incurred or the production cost is less. Since these multiple shops or branches, they have to produce goods in a huge quantity, so they enjoy the economies of large scale, means they will need less resources and they will earn more profit because they will produce more goods. Okay, now let us see some sorry, limitations or disadvantages. Now first one is limited range of goods. The customers in these stores do not have wide choice because they sell only one particular commodity. So it is not like a departmental store where you can go and buy anything you want. Okay, there will be lots of variety of goods available in departmental stores, but in chain stores they deal only in limited range of goods. For example, Bata Shoe Company, they have very limited or variety of shoes. Then next is no satisfaction of individual preferences. These shops cannot meet the requirements of different individuals having different artistic tastes and preference because goods are centrally produced on mass scale, taking into consideration the average standard and design. Because they specialize in a particular product, they are not going to take each and every individual's choice or preferences. Okay, they're just simply going to produce in average standard and design. So suppose if a pair of shoe, if I visit a Bata shoe, then if I like a particular pair of shoe, then it's not compulsory that everyone will like that. Other people, they will have their different choices, so they don't satisfy individual needs. Okay, then next is lack of flexibility. Uniform policies are adopted for all branches. These shops are centrally controlled. As such, there is no scope for branch managers to adjust their products and marketing techniques to the local needs, conditions and opportunities. Now see, they have shops all over the country, and they will have same policies, they will have same rules and regulations on how to manage the stores. Okay, so if a branch manager wants to change some rules regarding the store, then he cannot do that because they have to follow a uniform policy. The next is no initiative. The branch manager, he cannot take any initiative, means he cannot introduce new ideas on his own because he have to follow the uniform policies of the brand. Okay, he has to carry out the instructions of the head office. He cannot change the product, its price and terms of sale. Now chain stores, they enjoy the confidence of the public just because people trust in them. It is very reliable. Okay, because there is no bargaining and the product is standard. It has bright future in India, but it is sorry state of affairs that it has been located in the important places of cities only. Now these stores also you will find in big cities. Now there is a table given, means what are the difference between departmental store and chain stores. You can give it a reading to get clear idea. Now the third type is mail order business or houses. Purchase and sale of goods through postal services without any direct contact between buyer and seller is known as mail order business. Means through postal service, buying and selling takes place. The seller will not know who is the buyer and buyer will not know the seller personally. As post office is the essential channel for this business, it is rightly called shopping by post. Okay, just when we send something by postal services, we have to go to the post office, so that is why the name has been given as shopping by post from the consumer's point of view and selling by post from the seller's point of view. Now, in this type of business, seller approaches the buyer through advertisement. Means they will make one ad or something. The buyer will see that. If the buyer is interested in the article, then they will make an order. The seller, in response to the order, sends the goods as per VPP, value payable post. The parcel of goods is handed over to the buyer by the postman after payment of the value of the parcel is received. Means when the buyer makes the payment, the postman will give the order delivery to the buyer. If the payment of the parcel is not made, it will be returned to the seller. For heavy, bulky and perishable goods, mail order business is not suitable. Means if you want to purchase anything that is heavy or bulky, or it can if it is perishable, means if it gets bad, like let's say example of vegetables, those are perishable goods. This kind of goods you cannot order through mail order. Okay, now let us see what are the different types of mail order business. Now, first one is manufacturing type mail order business. The manufacturer of goods himself adopts the policy of selling goods by post for the simple reason that he wants to eliminate the middleman and minimize the cost of sales. Now, in this type, what the manufacturer, they themselves sell goods by post. Okay, they will not have any middleman or wholesaler. This will also maintain the supply of original goods, and just because you are receiving goods from the manufacturer, you will get original goods. Then the second type is departmental type mail order business. Departmental stores, in addition to selling goods through their stores, may supply goods by post directly to the customers on demand. This will increase the sales and satisfy the needs of the distant customers. Now, sometimes departmental stores, they used to sell goods via post also. Means if suppose if I purchased a good from departmental store that is very far away from my place, then I will just simply call them up. I will request them to deliver the good. I will make payment and they will send that particular product through through post. Then the third type is middleman type mail order business. It is the common type of mail order business where the seller is neither a manufacturing concern nor a departmental store. The seller is not the producer or manufacturer of goods. He makes advertisement, receives order, and executes the order by making purchase of the product from the market. Now, under this type, the middleman, what he will do is that he will advertise about a particular product. If he gets any order from any prospective buyer, then he will purchase that product from the market and then he will sell that good to the consumer. Okay, now let us see what are the special features or characteristics of mail order business. Now, first one is it can be started with small capital. Means as you don't have to build a shop or rent a shop, so you can start with small capital. Then shop for the business is not required. Means as soon as you get order, then at that time you can purchase that good and deliver it. There is no need to keep much stock of goods. Means you don't have to keep stock of goods with yourself. Then it requires effective advertisement. Means you have to be very good at advertising your products. Then marketing specialists are not required for this class of business. Then next is value payable post. VPP is used for sending goods. Okay, now this is something that we have learned in accountancy, that valuable payable post is used. Okay, there is always danger of being cheated. Suppose if a particular person have ordered some goods from you and after you have delivered that good, if that particular consumer says that I have not ordered then that is nothing but cheating. So in this type of business, cheating is risk of cheating is very high. Now let us see what are the suitable factors for or mail order business. Now mail order business is suitable for the commodities having the following characteristics. Now in which kind of commodities you can start your mail order business, let us see. First one is light and valuable goods. Goods must not be heavy and bulky. Goods capable of being described through statements and pictures, through which means like you can advertise using statements and pictures. Those goods you can send through mail order. Then goods incapable of being destroyed in the transit, means those goods means like which during transit doesn't get destroyed. Okay, then those goods which have continuous demand. Okay, like let's take example of cosmetic stuffs. Okay, cosmetic goods, they have continuous demand, so those kind of goods you can sell through mail order business. Then goods which can be standardized and graded, means you can give standard to them, particular standard. Like electronic goods, when we see 3-star or 4-star, then we know that it is energy efficient, so means these are standardized or graded. So those kind of goods you can sell through mail order business. The success of mail order business depends upon the prompt execution of order, means as soon as you can fulfill your order, then your mail order business will be successful. It must be guaranteed that the goods will be taken back at seller's cost if it does not satisfy the need of the buyer. Suppose if the goods is not according to the need of the buyer, then the seller have to say that whatever cost was incurred while sending that good, it will be bared by him. At that time only your business can be a successful one. Then sales policy should be intelligently and carefully framed, because there is a high risk of cheating. Honesty, the mail order business is always the best policy of the business. Now while doing this mail order business, you have to be honest. Okay, it is the main important point of doing this kind of business. Now let us see some advantages of this mail order business. Now advantages, they can be classified into advantages to the customers as well as advantages to traders. Now first let us see what are the advantages to customers. Now easy availability of good. The customer receives the desired commodity at home through postman, means they don't have to go anywhere, they can simply just stay at their home and they will receive the product. Then next is availability of locally unavailable goods, means whatever goods that is not available in your locality, then you can simply just order online. Okay, it will be delivered to you. Then time for arrangement of funds. There is a gap of certain days between placing an order and the delivery of goods, because it will take certain days to reach your product to your place. So in between that time you can arrange for your money. Okay, then cheap commodity. The goods are comparatively cheaper because of direct contact. Since the seller, they are directly selling and they don't have many intermediaries, it will be cheaper than the normal market's price. Now there are some advantages to traders. Let us see. Lesser operating cost. Mail order business enjoys lesser operating cost because they don't have shops in central places and they don't need any extra money to maintain those shops. Even interior decoration of shops is not required, so these expenses are not included in operating cost, and that is why they have lesser operating cost. Then next is small capital is required. You don't need huge amount of capital, you can start your business with small capital as well. Then no bad debts. Goods are delivered to the buyer after the payment of goods is received, so there is no possibility of bad debts. Now when the postman comes to deliver goods to you, only after making the payment he will deliver goods to you, otherwise he will not, so there is no chance of bad debts. Then next is storing of goods is not required. Goods need not to to be stored, because after receipt of the order it can be procured and supplied. Means as soon as you get, suppose you are owner of this kind of business, okay, as soon as you get order from your customer, and that time you can just simply purchase from the supplier and you can directly sell it to the customer, so you don't have to keep stock with yourself. Then next is wide range of business. Mail order business covers a long distance and wider range of business. Means it is not situated or located within a short area. It is spread in a wider range. Okay, the business can flourish up to those places where transportation and postal services are available. Like departmental store, they're confined to a particular city, but this mail order business, wherever your transportation and postal services are available, you can deliver your goods. Now let us see some disadvantages of mail order business. Now the first thing is no inspection of goods. Now as a buyer, when you go to a shop, there you can test your product before buying, but in mail order business you cannot do that, because the good is not in your hand. Okay, you have to wait till the delivery to check that product, so you cannot inspect the quality of your product. Then next is no credit facility, as goods are delivered after the cash payment is received, so credit facility is not available to customers. Then next is suitable for specific consumers category. Now this type of business, they are suitable for some consumers. Now let us see mail order business suits only literate customers, because if you don't know how to order online, then you won't be able to purchase goods through this kind of business. So majority of illiterate persons, they cannot do online shopping. Okay, the next is possibility of fraud. There is always danger of being cheated due to false statement and promises. Goods supplied may not be as promised. Means while advertising, they can show you one good, but as soon as you order and you get the delivery of good, you can be cheated. Means they will not, sometimes they don't used to send the goods as per described in their advertisement. Then next is no clarification of doubts. There is no personal contact between the sellers and buyers. Now suppose if you go to a retail shop, and if you have any doubts, then you can simply ask the seller face to face, but in this mail order business you cannot do that, because you don't know who is the seller. Okay, then next is no immediate satisfaction of wants. There is a time gap between the placement of order for goods and the actual delivery of goods, so the customer cannot receive goods then and there and start consuming it. Suppose you are very hungry, and let's say example that tomorrow you have to go to a special function and you need to wear a blazer and you don't have any, so you ordered it online. Your function is tomorrow, but you have to wait like 4 or 5 days to get your blazer. Okay, so at that time immediate satisfaction of want is not fulfilled in this type of mail order business. Okay, now for today we will wind up here. Okay, and in our next session we will try to wind up this chapter 9. So have goodbye.